In the biggest development for U.S. Air Force tactical air power in more than 2 decades, there has been announced the winner of the service's Next Generation Air Dominance (NGAD) fighter initiative. In today's video, we will tell you more about it and what it's known for now. The NGAD program's story begins in the shadows of the early 21st century, born from a growing unease within the U.S. Air Force about its place in a rapidly changing world. By the late 2000s, planners were sounding the alarm. The F-22 Raptor, once the pinnacle of air superiority, was starting to show its age, and legacy fighters like the F-15 and F-16 were no match for the sophisticated air defenses and stealthy jets emerging from rivals like China and Russia. Out of this anxiety came a flurry of classified studies and think tank war games, all pointing to a stark conclusion. The Air Force needed a revolutionary leap forward, not just another incremental upgrade. This set the stage for what would eventually become NGAD, but the journey started with a concept known as the Air Dominance 2030 study, kicked off around 2010. That effort brought together engineers, strategists, and even sci-fi inspired visionaries to dream up a fighter that could dominate the skies of the future. Early on, the focus was on a platform that could penetrate deep into enemy territory, neutralize threats, and return unscathed. A mission that demanded breakthroughs in stealth, speed, and survivability. By the mid-2010s, these ideas had coalesced into a shadowy initiative tied to the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, where whispers of experimental designs and hush-hush test flights began to circulate among defense insiders. The NGAD vision didn't stop at a single jet, though. It grew into something much bigger. Around 2016, the Air Force started sketching out a bold new blueprint for air combat, one that looked beyond the traditional fighter pilot narrative. This was when NGAD truly took shape as a sprawling family of systems. Picture this: a cutting-edge manned aircraft flying in tandem with a swarm of smart, semi-autonomous drones, dubbed Collaborative Combat Aircraft (CCA), each loaded with sensors, jammers, or weapons to overwhelm the enemy. Add to that a wish list of futuristic tech, engines that could adapt mid-flight for speed or efficiency, lasers or hypersonic missiles, and a digital nervous system linking it all through space-based networks. This wasn't just about building a plane, it was about rewriting the rules of aerial warfare. By the late 2010s, NGAD had evolved into a top-secret priority, with prototypes reportedly taking to the skies as early as 2019, though the public wouldn't get a hint of it until years later. It was a gamble to keep America's edge in the air, driven by a mix of Cold War-style urgency and Silicon Valley-style innovation. In contrast to previous fighter competitions, NGAD has been cloaked in secrecy from the outset. Indeed, for a long time, the Air Force didn't even disclose which companies were in the running for NGAD. However, the likely candidates were always going to be Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and Northrop Grumman, the established heavyweights in terms of U.S. combat aircraft manufacturers. As noted, Northrop Grumman removed itself from the running for NGAD in July 2023. The firm is also highly focused on fulfilling the high-stakes B-21 Raider contract. The 3 defense contractors are understood to have flown up to 3 NGAD demonstrators, possibly one from each company, although this, too, is unconfirmed. The fact that a full-scale flight demonstrator for NGAD had flown at all was first revealed back in September 2020. NGAD has been a significant source of uncertainty over the past year, having been put on pause in May 2024 as the service reviewed its requirements amid concerns about the affordability of the aircraft, capability needs, and shifting priorities. However, on March 21st, in the Oval Office presser, Trump said he was thrilled to announce the NGAD fighter contract award to Boeing, describing the aircraft as the world's first 6th-generation fighter jet. The aircraft has received the designation F-47. According to General Alvin, the F-47 designation was chosen in consultation with Secretary of Defense and carries multiple significant meanings. It honors the legacy of the P-47, whose contributions to air superiority during World War II remain historic. Also, the number pays tribute to the founding year of our incredible U.S. Air Force, while also recognizing the 47th President's pivotal support for the development of the world's first sixth-generation fighter. Trump noted that the F-47 has been in the works for a long period of time, and that the Boeing design was selected after a rigorous and thorough competition between some of America's top aerospace companies. It's something the likes of which nobody has seen before, Trump continued, as he outlined in the F-47 in broad strokes. In terms of all the attributes of a fighter jet, there's never been anything even close to it, from speed to maneuverability, to what it can have to payload. The F-47 will be the most advanced, most capable, most lethal aircraft ever built, as well as being equipped with state-of-the-art stealth technologies, which will make it virtually unseeable. The F-47 has the most power of any jet of its kind ever made, Trump claims. Maneuverability, there's never been anything like it, despite the power and speed, he added. Trump said that the F-47's speed is top over 2, which is something that you don't hear very often. This would seem to imply a top speed in the region of Mach 2. The president also announced an aspiration to have the F-47 enter series production before the end of his term in office, which ends in January 2029. As for the unit cost of the new fighter, we can't tell you the price, because it would give away some of the technology and some of the size of the plane, Trump said. Air Force Chief of Staff General David Allvin, in his statement on the F-47, branded the new aircraft the most advanced, lethal, and adaptable fighter ever developed, designed to outpace, outmaneuver, and outmatch any adversary that dares to challenge our brave airmen. Allvin also referred to a test flight campaign related to the NG-80 fighter having been carried out over the past 5 years, noting that more than one X-plane has been involved, flying hundreds of hours. This is in line with the announcement of September 2020 from Dr. Will Roper, then Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Acquisition, Technology, and Logistics, that a previously undisclosed NG-80 demonstrator had begun flight testing. Since then, it's been reported that at least 3 NG-80-related demonstrators have flown. The Air Force chief also provided an interesting comparison with the F-22, stating that the F-47 will cost less and be more adaptable to future threats. Furthermore, the Air Force will have more F-47s than the current fleet of just over 180 Raptors. Moreover, the new fighter will have a significantly longer range, more advanced stealth, be more sustainable, supportable, and have higher availability than our 5th-generation fighters. It will also take significantly less manpower and infrastructure to deploy. Despite the release, few details were announced. However, several photos were revealed. From the first image of the jet revealed, we see a wing with a very high dihedral and downward swept tips. This immediately is reminiscent of Boeing's famed YF-118G bird of prey technology demonstrator that flew clandestinely out of Area 51 in the 1990s. Another loosely similar dihedral design has come into the picture more recently in the form of scaled composites Model 401 demonstrators. One positive aspect of this design element is that sensors and communicators antennas on the bottom of the aircraft's fuselage can maintain line of sight to targets, even when the aircraft is banking at steeper angles. The YF-118G proved out a number of technologies, including advanced stealth and tailless design, to new breakthroughs in manufacturing, and even visual stealth. It was a far lower performing machine compared to what the F-47 is set up to be, but clearly, lessons learned from Bird of Prey are very much alive in Boeing's NG-80 design. We will likely be hearing more about this historical linkage in the future. Another image we now have of the F-47 concept shows a very interesting and downright puzzling angle. We see that indeed, this aircraft has a very broad shovel-like nose, and its bird of prey-like wing dihedral is also apparent. The canopy looks quite wide as well, and a better look at the fuselage is also seen here. The overall design of this fuselage appears very loosely similar to Boeing's X-45 UCAV demonstrators, and it also has a superficial likeness to the NASA Boeing X-36 tailless fighter agility research aircraft. The most puzzling part of this image is the canards, which look more like smaller forward root extensions here. We also see what appears to be a blockish intake on one side but not the other. This incongruity is curious, but as we stated earlier, the imagery could be altered in key ways to help throw off foreign intelligence. We have a few answers, but more questions at this point, which is not uncommon for sensitive aircraft reveals. The big winner is, of course, Boeing, as John Ostrower, editor-in-chief of the Air Current, notes. This is the first time that the company has won a contract for a clean sheet jet fighter design. Otherwise, successful Boeing products in this field have been inherited from McDonnell Douglas, with which it was merged in 1997, including the F-15, AV-8B, FA-18, and EA-18. And what do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel to always stay in touch. And thanks for watching.